Hey everyone, took a while to write this story down, but I lost the notebook where I had all these logged for a bit. This is another story about when I used to work for the call center. I must preface this now that, to me, this one is the most unbelievable one in the sense that I'm shocked no one has spoken about this particular company on this site before. Be me working the night shift. Working from about 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Boss trusted me enough to leave for the night. This results in me being the only one in the building. It's cool cause it's a Friday going into Saturday. No one ever calls during those hours. Sitting there doing the professional equivalent of sitting around with my hand on my dick. Notice how subtly eerie the whole building is. Prime spooky material. Old carpets, scratched up walls, buzzing light fixtures, and even then 75% of the lights in the building were turned off. Suddenly get that feeling like I probably shouldn't be there. Think to myself, it's already 3 a.m. and you're getting paid double under the table, so who cares? Begin playing my PSP and boot up some GTA. Having fun being a degenerate in the game when suddenly I hear a scratch. I jumped from my chair the millisecond I heard it. I settle down and chalk it up to nerves since I was quite literally the only one in the building. At least, I thought I was. Didn't help the place was freezing cold at the time, so I already had shivers all over. Tried my best to ignore it and go back to work. Didn't seem like whatever made that sound was coming back. I simply just go back to work laughing it off as just shaky nerves. Fast forward to about 4 a.m. I start hearing a click. I recognize the sound. It's the sound of a lighter. What the fuck? JPEG. Seeing it's time for lunch, I decide to go investigate. Walking around the office trying to find any clue as to where the noise came from. Can't seem to find a trail. Like whatever heard me knew I heard it and panicked. Now officially spooked, I begin to look around the restrooms. Empty. The cafeteria. Empty. Training rooms. Empty. Healthcare department. Empty. The entire building had an occupancy of 1. I begin texting my friend. He says it's probably the wind and the nerves are getting to me being all alone in a big empty building. I know what I heard, and it wasn't the fucking wind. Decide to go get a cup of coffee from the cafeteria and say fuck it. Sitting there watching the clock roll down as my lunch hour passes. As I sit there drinking the shitty coffee from the vending machine, I see it. On the table close to mine. A cigarette. A semi-lit cigarette. I stare at the thing for what seems like an eternity. Almost like I was frozen. I jump off my chair and go to the phone. We had a specific phone that is only to be used if we needed to call a manager, or as we call them, team leader, for an emergency. I dial up the number. Manager picks up the phone from some club, least the loud music led me to believe it was a club. Anon? What's up, dude? What's going on? I think there's someone here, dude, like someone who isn't supposed to be. Anon, just call the cops? My lapse in judgment finally got to my head. Yeah, sorry, I'll do that right now. It's just I kept hearing this random scratching and this cig I found. Cig? Anon, whatever you do, stay right there and don't fucking move. Me and some other TLs are gonna be right over. But what about the cops? Don't call them, we'll handle it. Kind of taken aback by what I just got told, I just tell him okay and wait. All the while the night seems to stand still. All of a sudden I feel like someone is watching me. That very specific feeling when you can just tell that a pair of eyes are on you. I turn around. Nothing. Being the big brain 200 IQ Anon I am, I commence to say. Hello? Is someone there? I hear another quick lighter click. I see one of the panels of the ceiling move. Oh, that's what's going on. PNG. I think to myself to take the initiative and get a ladder. Once again 200 IQ here. I got up in the ceiling and start looking around with my cruddy phone flashlight. Find piles of used cigs, food wrappers and even some feces, all over the place. It smells like something fucking died. Around that time my cell phone rings. It's my boss. Hello? Anon. Are you good? Where are you? I tell him that I'm fine and that for now the noises have simmered down. Didn't want to tell him that I was investigating because I didn't want to get reprimanded on my first night all alone. As soon as we hang up I continue my trek and keep looking through the gunk and leftover papers wondering what the fuck I just stumbled into. I see something at the corner of the room. A lone filing cabinet. Wide open. Bunch of files there and I decide to read some. Shit like company finances from like 2005 and shit. Nothing special except one drawer. Reports. Curiosity got the better of me. I check the files and it's full of reports from over the years. You name it, it's there. Drugs. Sexual abuse. Verbal abuse. All sorts of shady underhanded shit that's gotten reported. And the dates all go up to the time when I worked 2018, 2019. See the reports I made for David, if any of you remember that story. This is essentially a dumping ground for all the shit that's been reported and locked up, so it doesn't get leaked out to the public. This is some Illuminati tier shit. From then, I felt that sense of someone looking at me. I turn around and there he was. This chubby scruffy man. Had to be in his 40s. He starts yelling. "What the fuck are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Get out." For half a second I almost asked him the same but I was too scared and began to bolt out of there. I can hear him chasing me and I decide to go full retard and jump through the hole where the ceiling piece I removed earlier was. I land right on my ass and I'm in some bad pain. I see the guy above me and he just stares. I bolt out of the building and run into my boss. Dude sees I'm shaken up and he asks if I'm okay. I tell him that I went up to check to see what the noise was, and this big chubby dude was there. He stops me as soon as I say chubby dude and he walks in with 5 other TLs. Doesn't take more than a few minutes for him to come out dragging this dude from the collar. And I don't mean a normal drag out. I mean it looks like they gave him a good boot or two to the head before he came out. Sitting there watching this guy whimper on the ground whilst my boss tells his other TL friends to take him to the other room. My eyes at this point are just wide fucking open. Looks like I just saw a murder. Boss comes to me and asks if I'm okay. I tell him yeah and ask who that guy is. He gives me an answer that comes off as 100% bullshit. Tells me it's some homeless guy who keeps getting into the building during the late hours. Every now and then they have to get the cops on him. Today they wanted to catch him themselves to make sure nothing happened. All the while my bullshit alarm is going off. Before I can even say anything my boss stops me. "So Anon." "Yeah? Any reason you smell like cigs even though you don't smoke?" My blood ran cold. "For that matter, why exactly do you have a few McDonald's wrappers on you if you don't eat that?" "Oh, fuck oh fuck oh fuck oh fuck." Boss begins to tell me some shit about how the company likes to keep things to itself. How they don't like certain things getting out due to it being too much of a headache. Tells me that sometimes things don't go the way it's supposed to and that sometimes drastic measures are kind of needed. Looks me right in the eye and then asks. "You didn't see anything up there, right?" "No, sir." "You sure?" He then proceeds to tell me that I'm off for the rest of the week with paid time off. Just to let me relax a bit. Tells me to go home and we'll talk when I come back. Following week, I come to work and get called by him immediately. "Mr. Anon, come to my office please." Boss tells me that I'm going to be sent to a new position to full-time trainer. tells me that I'm also going to be transferred to a different site in the city. There were technically 2 call centers sites in my town. Says I'm going to get double pay, extra time off, basically all the perks of being a TL without all the hassle. All this sounds shocking as hell to me. Finally get the courage to ask why I'm getting this so suddenly. "Oh, Mr. Anon, you're just a good worker and the higher-ups decided instead of making sure you don't say anything about last night we reward you for your bravery and quick thinking." I asked about the chubby guy I found. He simply said not to worry and that we won't see him ever again. I didn't stay at that job much longer. Security paid way more than the double pay I was already getting, and it came without the added baggage of whatever the fuck they were doing at this place. Epilogue. To tie up a single loose end you may have been thinking about. The only reason I'm able to tell this story in the detail I have without worrying about ramifications is due to the fact that none of those who worked there when I did no longer work there. My boss died in a car accident in December. Many of the TLs either got fired or left entirely. And besides those 4 I was the only one left from that night who still knows anything from that night even happened. Don't know if those other TLs even remember that night either, so this adds another layer of shit to that. As for what happened to the chubby guy, the official story that went around the office was that I was some brave man who caught a homeless robber in the act and was able to apprehend him. When in reality I'm pretty sure if that guy wanted me dead I would have been dead 100%. I'm more than 100% that chubby guy ended up dead somewhere. Rumor in the office was that no footage from that night was ever found due to electronic malfunction. Everything just lined up like some giant conspiracy. But fearing more for my financial state than my actual life, I kept my mouth shut. Have heard rumors of some who tried speaking out on stuff getting sued and losing terribly. I don't know what really happened to that guy, nor do I care to really find out. All I know is that night I found there were many in life much scarier than ghosts or demons.